Let's do a cheers.
All
Cheers.
right, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Clink, and you guys clink, and then we'll clink like clink.
Clink.
My tea is too hot right now, so I can't.
Just pretend.
I'll pretend it.
Okay, so we have Jeremy Coachman and Ben Mitchell with us today, and I just want to turn over the mic to them to give their short bio of whatever they want to say.
All right. Short bio, brief. All right, so I'm Jeremy Coachman, last name. Originally from Riviera Beach, Florida. Started dancing when I was 11 and went to performing arts high schools, Juilliard College, and have been in the Ballet Jazz de Montreal, which is a dance company in Montreal, for 5 years now. 5 years.
Wow.
And that is a very short bio for me.
I can't believe it's been 5 years.
That's a long time.
It is a long time.
gone
And I
fast.
remember, thinking that when I first moved here, that it would be like, I would be able to see more things, but whenever you move anywhere, you always have to take that first year to like get settled. And then the second year is like, you're just now experiencing, and then it just falls.
Yeah, we have an aquarium like a couple blocks away from our place, which is a big touristy spot whenever people visit, and we've never been.
We
I would have
never
been.
really go outside. We just stay inside.
Especially now. We have an excuse now.
Yeah, we do too. We're such homebodies.
Homebodies.
Such homebodies.
Us too.
All right, what about you, Ben?
I was born in Germany, but
Fun fact.
but my all my family are British. They were working out there, had me out there, and then I'm from originally I would say from Leeds in the UK. I trained at the Royal Ballet School in London, and then upon graduating, I danced for. I did a little bit of work with Birmingham Royal Ballet whilst I was a student in my graduate year, and then upon graduating, I danced for Northern Ballet for almost 7 years. I was there. And then when I left there, I went to Brazil for a year to dance in a dance company called Debra Colca Dance Company in Rio de Janeiro. And then that was a very short experience. That was only like almost less than a year, I would say. And then I went back to the UK and danced for Phoenix Dance Theatre for almost 2 years. And then after leaving there, I came here, and I've been here now 4 years.
Cool.
Long
That's
career.
that.
That's long. Yeah. You've been around.
Been around a little bit, yeah. But yeah,
How was Brazil for that?
it was an experience. It was a very interesting experience. I had never been prior to moving there, so I kind of dived into the deep end, like head first, which was exhilarating, but also there's always a risk involved when you do that, I think. So I really enjoyed the company. It was just difficult. I found it difficult to adjust to like Brazilian life, I would say, as much as I respect it and everything. It was something that I was very not used to at all. So it kind of just didn't I guess match where I thought my life was going to be, or the experience that I was wanting at the time. So I think that's why the experience there was so short.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot, definitely.
What's the staple Brazilian food?
Oh, I would say it's like
Acai bowls are very
yeah.
oh yeah, acai bowls are really popular there.
like everywhere.
I would say like rice, beans, and meat.
Yeah,
Okay.
So
like a lot of pork.
yeah, I would say, which was difficult because I don't really eat meat.
Right.
So it's kind of limiting at times.
Yeah.
We actually went on tour to Brazil, and it was really awesome to
Yeah.
experience that different culture. I'd never been. So.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Let's talk about tour a little bit. So BJM tours a lot.
Yeah.
So talk about what that dynamic is with the company.
So this is like the calendar year, right? We're pretty much on tour. No, like in terms of width, that's how much we're on tour. And then we're probably in the studio this much.
Wow.
Like more than 3/4.
Yeah.
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 Like, for example, like from end of October to December, we were touring. So we did like an 8-week tour there. We had a Christmas break. We came back for 1 week, and then we were meant to do another 8-week tour, but then obviously it got canceled because of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
You were on tour, and then you had to come back home.
Did you perform at all?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow! So you went there.
We went there. Yeah, we spent a week there. We had one rehearsal day, and then the next day we were meant to perform,
and it got canceled.
Wow.
But we didn't know so we had the whole rehearsal day, and then after the rehearsal day there was a meeting, and the meeting, the subject was just simple, like, so the show tomorrow is canceled and the rest of the tour is canceled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it was like we were in a movie being over there. It was definitely like a movie. We all kept saying it, just how surreal it all felt. Like it was like the start of it all. So it was crazy.
It's true. And then sometimes when I get outside of the bubble of the apartment, I still feel like I'm in a bit of a movie sometimes.
Oh
too.
Yeah, we're still in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does the company have a hopeful plan for coming back?
Right now, I think they're still working those things out, just because the Canadian government are doing great. I think they're handling it quite well, and they're opening like programs to help fund nonprofits and freelancers. So all of that's still in the process of being finalized. So the company is just sort of right now trying to wait and see what that will be, and then from there like build a plan. But as of now, what we know is that we will continue at some point. We just don't know when.
When does the season end?
Contractually, July 31st?
June 30th.
No, June
31st.
June 31st. Yeah.
So you still have some time.
Yeah. But we'll see. It's all very much up in the air right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like everything too is just like changing and then changing.
Yeah.
And then again changing.
Yes, it's so true. But in terms of touring, we go to crazy places I don't think I would have ever seen if not of being in this company. So the tour that we were just about to do before all of this, we were meant to go to Serbia.
Wow.
And what was the other place that we didn't go to yet?
Israel?
Yes, Israel.
Oh.
Cool.
And, Russia? No,
that was meant to be maybe next season.
Oh, okay.
There was also Switzerland, France, Spain, Italy.
Germany?
Not Germany this time. No. So some pretty exciting places. It's like the exhilarating part of the job. I mean, like anything, I think there's like the ups and the downs of it. You know, sometimes you want to be home more and like you want to build your life back home. But then also like for me personally, I'm someone that gets bored quite easily. So I quite like the change.
Yeah.
The change of things can be quite exciting.
Yeah.
It's so great too that you guys are married and you get to travel together too, because you almost have like stability together even if you're going about.
That's so true.
Yeah, it is a huge blessing, definitely.
Yeah.
We find married life. How is married life?
It's great.
It's great. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. It kind of feels normal. Like even before we got married, like we knew that we were going to be together forever. And so after getting married, it was like the solidifier, but the feeling is still the same. You know, it I don't know. It's just really, it feels nice to feel secure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. And even though I felt secure before, it was just like reflecting back on the day, you think, how is it possible to like love someone any more than you already do? But somehow you do. Like,
Yeah,
I
the
don't
day
know,
was
like
beautiful.
it's such a beautiful day. I'm sure you guys, I don't know, must have
Deanna, we
experienced the
missed
same
you
thing.
at the wedding, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I could have been there.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
That would have been really nice.
Yeah.
I know, I saw the photos and I was like, wow, you guys look so dapper.
Very colorful.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, those jackets we actually got in Brazil as well on tour.
Wow.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are really cool.
Yeah.
Have you worn them again, or are you just like putting them in the back of the closet?
They're framed.
We were thinking about framing them, actually.
Oh, yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
It'll be hard to try and find an occasion to wear them again.
Yeah, totally.
So.
Like putting on a wedding dress.
Exactly.
That's a little easier than that.
Yeah.
Similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's nice. We love it.
So
right now we're in the process of getting a permanent residency here.
Oh.
Really? And what's that like?
Yeah. Right now we're in the very early stages, and it happened right before all of this, so it is limbo right now. But I think the lawyer is still working. We just sent him more information, things that he needs to start the application. But yeah, that's something that we're moving in the direction of.
So you both see yourselves living in Montreal for a long time?
I mean, we love Montreal. Montreal is amazing. It would just be nice for us to have a base right now, just because right now the only thing that's keeping us here is the job. Yeah. Because I'm American, he's British. Yep. And because of those circumstances, like if we wanted to move on from the company, we would both have to go separate ways, which is not something that we want to do. Yeah. So we just thought that why not put our roots here, and then it doesn't mean that we have to live here forever if we don't want to. It just means that we have a base for the foreseeable future.
And it like buys you time together.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can live anywhere in Canada. Like, it doesn't have to just be Montreal. Yeah. Like once you're permanent resident, you can go anywhere.
That's a good plan for now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
But how about you guys? How has the how has COVID-19 affected like you dancing in the company? Like what's going on over there?
Yeah, the company is similar, not too similar, but we've kind of like paused, and we are working and making content virtually. Right. So we're not seeing each other, but we're doing monthly meetings and getting sort of like tasks, which has been really fun because Jordan obviously is really good at video. And if it were just me on my own getting these like, okay, like make a solo and like.
What are the tasks, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so we have to make solos that use music like Denver local artists, or we can find royalty-free music online. And they have to be filmed, and so we have to edit them also. And I just am so bad at editing. Like I would hate to do that, and so I'm so lucky to have him. And then our other task is to make basically tutorials. So tutorials for kids or people with kid-like spirits, so non-dancers, people like that just want to move around, and easy enough stuff that anyone can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really fun.
That's awesome.
That is cool. It kind of keeps you stimulated. I don't think our company hasn't put a system like that in place.
I think they're more worried about the business itself.
Yeah, I think they're thinking of, but that's really cool that they're like, they have thought about that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are still getting paid?
That's all like questionable right now, isn't it?
Yeah. Because technically, the last thing that we heard was that we were going to be laid off for the whole of April, and that we were meant to apply for unemployment, which is something that we all get, which is like 75% of your salary.
Yeah.
But then because of all of the things that are happening with the government and them offering relief funds, there's two things right now happening. So one option is that every individual who works and who has been laid off will be given $2,000 a month.
And that's part of like the Canadian Emergency Release Fund, basically.
And the other thing is that the government will give the nonprofit organization itself money, and then so that they don't have to lay anyone off. So either we will be here getting money from the government or here getting money from the job. We just don't know yet.
Yeah.
It's just waiting to figure out what it's going to be.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Because I think right now what's happening is like there's just such a huge influx of like people applying for unemployment. So I think their idea is if people can be kept on the payroll, then it would maybe also limit the people going through that system, you know, which would be great. It would make our lives easier, and I'm sure it would make their lives easier too. And so we're kind of just, again, right now, so many questions up in the air. We're just like waiting and seeing like what happens.
Yeah.
Into the first few days of this whole thing, the unemployment website crashed in the US.
Wow.
It's like it wasn't working.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I think, well, even when nothing's happening in the world,
it takes time.
It takes time. Like anytime we try to call, it's like,
oh yeah,
we're sorry. We've reached our maximum or something, and then you can't get through. So
government run is never ideal.
It's never smooth.
Never.
yeah.
But yeah, it's just, what else are you guys you doing to keep yourselves busy or not busy or sane, or just to sort of decompress from it all?
Well, I'm teaching Zoom classes, live Zoom classes for 3 studios I teach at, and then for the 4th studio I teach at, I'm doing pre-recorded classes. So that's been
a lot of
I've had to develop this whole system in this little apartment. Like our apartment looks like a studio right now.
Yeah.
Like I have a big light. I have
minus the dance floor.
Nice audio equipment. No, I meant like a
recording
studio, like a video studio.
That's crazy.
So it's pretty crazy, but I'm doing that. So I'm working less hours, but still working.
Driving less.
Yeah, definitely driving less to the studios.
Yeah. Are they really sporadic, the studios?
The locations? Yeah. So 3 studios I teach at take about an hour to get to in traffic down south. And then the one up north it usually takes me about 45 minutes.
Wow.
So it's a lot of driving.
That's a lot of driving.
Usually.
I bet you're happy about being able just to like stay in one place and get all.
Yeah, it's nice. Whenever I get in the car now, it's a little strange, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, we try to get out of the house. Today is a cloudy, kind of rainy day, but
same here.
But usually in Denver we have sun, so we get out of the house and just go on some walks. Well,
Ben's been running, but I just started joining him on running, which is something I never thought I would do.
Yeah, he hates running. Oh,
I hate it.
I hated it. Yeah, I really didn't like it. But I'm working on being fluid in my personality. So I was like, you know what? I'll try it. I'll give it a try. And it's actually quite nice. So.
How long do you run?
About 45 minutes, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Average.
We usually like mark places we want to go and then run back.
And you run the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can run like 10 minutes. Like that's my max.
That's probably a few miles.
Yeah, the first day we did 3 miles.
And then we built up to about 5 or 6 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like not like
it's like a jog, you know.
But even at jogging, that's like a 10-minute mile.
Yeah. And I'm wearing barefoot shoes, so it's.
What are those called?
Vibrams.
Vibram.
Is it Vibram?
Vibram 5
Or
fingers.
Vibram?
Vibram, tomato.
Tomato,
It
tomato.
doesn't matter. But I really recommend them. I really like them. They're not for everybody, but I really like them, and I feel like my feet are getting stronger and other muscles that I don't really ever feel.
Cool. So was there like an adjustment time where you had to get used to them?
Well, I've been wearing them for a long time. I just have
Okay.
never run in them. Like I'm a weird one, and I just wear them casually.
Yeah.
I even thought about maybe wearing them like to like an event at some point, like just to continue keeping grounded. But we'll see. But yeah, when you first get them, if you've never had your toes spread out that way, there is an adjustment period. It's almost like Birkenstocks. You know how you have to like
Yeah.
get used to them.
Uh-huh.
It's that, because you're gonna get sore, and people usually, when they feel soreness in their feet, they equate it as bad. And it's not. It's just that you're using muscles you're not really using ever. So yeah, it's like it takes some time to get used to. But the first time we ran, I was like, not, because I didn't run in them before, and I didn't really like do a short distance, and like we just kind of went, and that next day I was so sore.
Oh man.
And, but then the time after that, it was a lot better. Like the soreness didn't last that long, and we were able to run a little bit further. But yeah.
But in those, you're not supposed to run heel ball toe. You have to run on the balls of your feet.
Well, shoes with the sole, some shoes don't have them, but most shoes do. There's like 1 to 0 drop point, which is like the heel is like this and the toe is like this.
Yeah.
And when the shoe is like that, it makes like the body naturally wants to strike with the heel, which isn't the natural way the body is meant to run. Like we're actually meant to run, like strike more on this part of the heel, and then like there's like different steps in which the foot moves between supination and pronation as you're running. But when you have shoes with a lot of sole at the back, you do this, and then it affects your knees and your back when you run. So if you do have shoes like that, it's better to not heel strike, or just to be conscious of it, because it's the heel striking itself that causes a lot of injury. But with the barefoot shoes, like you do it naturally when you run barefoot anyway, you don't heel strike because it just doesn't feel good. So you run naturally, and you're not, yeah, we'll leave it at that. There's a lot more.
So what's the hygiene with those shoes? Do you wear socks?
You can wear socks. You cannot wear socks. They're made with a certain type of rubber that's been treated to not hold bacteria.
Really?
And they have like air slits on the inside, so that air is constantly getting through. They're the most comfortable shoes I've ever had. I always wear them.
I want them.
I 100% am behind people getting them. Ben doesn't like them.
No, it took me a second visually to get used to them. Just because like I've not been used to seeing people outside, like seeing the whole foot, like the shape of the toes, like outside, you know, like I don't know, it was something
naked.
Yeah, I felt like it's exposing for some reason. I don't know, but
I remember when I first
I don't have a problem with them. I think they're kind of cool.
They are cool. I remember when I first got them in New York, and when I got them, I wanted to wear them out the store. I was like, as soon as I exited the store, I just sat on a curb and put them on. And I walked. It was in Columbus Circle, and then from Columbus Circle to Juilliard, I walked, and I was so happy. And it's so oversaturated with people in New York. So like, I always pass people, and people were just like looking at me like crazy. But I was like, you know what? I like them. It don't matter.
I don't care.
I really don't.
So you're talking about supination and pronation.
Yeah.
How have your guys' injuries been since you've been off?
My body, I feel like, has healed like more so in this amount of time than it has in the past 2 years. Like I usually have a chronic back injury.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an injury. I think it's like a mix of things. But it prevents me from doing like side laterals on one side. It's just a lot more stiff, and it like causes my sacrum to move out and in of like alignment. But I was just actually telling Ben yesterday, I was like, I feel like I don't feel that pain anymore, and it's just of being off and resting, which is something that we don't get most of the time because we're usually go, 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 and our rep is usually go, go, go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's the thing. I think because our rep seems to follow like a certain trend of being high energy, like we're often like really trying to find nuance in all of like the high energy of like softness, but that can be hard and challenging in itself because everything is just like so poundy, the rep. So there's like, we don't have a contrast. So like our bodies get like kind of, I guess they
learn.
go through, they go through the wear and tear, don't they? And then they learn. And like, for me personally, a couple of years back, I had my first, I would say, more serious injury. I had like a herniated disc, which kind of put me out of work for a little while. But also that was a learning curve for me. I think when I was younger, I was much more irresponsible. I didn't really need to warm up, or I thought I didn't need to warm up, and I would just like be able to do things, and like my body's changing, which is also mental work, because then you're like, you know, like the way you view yourself, you have to do work of that too. And it telling yourself like it's not that you're old or anything, it's just that it's an adjustment to a different approach of how you work. So then we kind of both recently in the last sort of 2 years have gotten into like a kind of much more of a like a yoga practice, and since then I haven't felt many injuries at all, actually. Yeah. But
namaste, everyone.
But it's great. I mean, it's, you know, like I had a very ignorant perception of yoga before, and I think the more I started to learn about how rich the practice is and how actually it can, it's not all just about Zen and meditation, even though it has all of that in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like a good strength and flexibility builder, I would say.
What kind of yoga do you guys do?
Hot
We
yoga.
do vinyasa, hot vinyasa.
Yeah.
But we've taken like one of his friends lives in Bali. Oh, not lives in Bali anymore, but he lived in Bali, and right now he's studying acupuncture.
Yeah.
And he taught us yoga once while he was visiting, and it was a branch off of, what's the technique? It's not hatha. It's a technique off of hatha called shadow. And I think the reason why we like vinyasa is because vinyasa, it flows.
Yeah.
Like you have a sequence and you flow through it, and it's very movement based. Whereas say like Bikram is all about just the poses, and you hold the poses for an extended amount of time, and then you come out of it, and then you do the other side, come out of it, and then you know, it's very much just about the poses. And I think hatha is more power based. Same, it's like a mix between vinyasa and Bikram. It's like a mix between the two. It's the oldest form, but it doesn't have like the flow modality that vinyasa does. I think a lot of teachers pair both hatha and vinyasa together. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we focus mostly on those ones.
Cool.
Yeah, we were corrected yesterday, actually. We thought Bikram was hot yoga. But
they just ramp up the heat.
I thought the same thing too, because I guess I just thought hot yoga is like, I don't know, Bikram, same thing. But like Bikram has like a certain...
it's certain poses.
Yeah, certain poses, isn't it? And like a certain philosophy behind it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to get more into yoga. I honestly don't know that much about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
It's been really nice. Yeah.
Because it's not just about the workout either, because yoga means union, and it's like the union of everything. So it's like kind of like a lifestyle. So it's like it incorporates mental health, physical health, and then obviously when those two are married, it's easier to find a spiritual practice. it's just easier to tap into it when all of those different attributes are married.
Yeah.
But you can practice yoga and like cooking. It's just like the mental. Oh, also breath work. A lot of breath work.
Yeah.
And I think that's one that a lot of us, especially right now, dealing with the coronavirus, it could benefit from is breath work, because emotions tend to manifest themselves in the breath. Like usually when you're anxious or when you're scared or when you're feeling anything, you tend to hold your breath, or you tend to do short breaths, and then you're not getting your body oxygen, and you're not like and you're not like replenishing things. So there's a lot of different techniques on breath. It's called pranayama that you can incorporate. The simple one is a breath of fire, and you just do like exhale, inhale quite fast, and you do it enough and you start to feel a little lightheaded, and at the very end you hold your breath at the top and then you release, and then it's just like you feel like this rush of energy. It's crazy. But yeah, breath is very powerful.
It's true, actually. Like I've learned a lot from yoga personally, and I think that it's taught me a lot. Dance is so physical. I think like a long time ago, I used to work much more externally, and I think what it's taught me a lot is to work from the inside out. And that has brought a lot of like calm and like ease into my life and into my dancing, I would say. And just even outside of like the physical side, like mentally, like it's interesting what it tells me about myself, you know, like in an exercise, if I'm backing off, or if there's something prohibiting me to move forward, it teaches me like, oh, I do this in life, or I do this here. It kind of teaches me of like where the parallels sit when I'm not dancing as me as a person, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's the fascinating thing about yoga for me, is it's teaching me a lot about myself as a human, I think.
There's a lot of introspection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw your time lapses of meditation.
Oh yeah, mine. Yeah.
Do you do that every day?
Every morning.
Every morning.
Yeah. I started doing it when we're on tour. I think for some reason when we're on tour, it's easier to tap into that, just because
we have mornings free too, don't we?
Yeah, actually, yeah, because we usually start later in the day when we're on tour. You're right. But because we have all this time off, and it is something that I just feel like I want to start incorporating into my life, because the benefits are just awesome. And yeah, so I started doing it every morning, and I just sit for however long I feel like I need to, but it usually ends up being 30 minutes. Like anytime I do the time lapse, anytime I turn it off, it's always at 30 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And where do you learn how to do that? Is it like through a book, or do you just do it?
Yeah, there's a lot of, you can learn through a lot of books. A lot of books are out there about meditation. I think my perception on it is that the idea behind meditation can be very daunting, because I think the general consensus about what meditation is sets it up to be that way. Like when you hear about meditation, you automatically picture someone like completely zenned out, like not having any sort of thoughts, just like in this state of like heightened bliss. And that is I think an attribute of it, but I don't think that one should go into it already expecting to feel that. Right. Because it's not just about that, it's about the process of rewiring your brain. Because the brain right now, like we're just wired to constantly, we're always getting information in. And when left unchecked, we can just like cycle through thoughts and then latch on to one thought and then go to another thought from that thought and then go to another thought from that thought. So it's like you can just get in your head about a lot of things. And I think it teaches you to sit with yourself. And I think closing your eyes shuts out one information box. So you're not getting anything visual. And so you're just left with your mind. And because the mind needs to focus on something, they usually tell you to focus on your breath, or you have music to like help have your mind focus on that. Or you think about your chakras and you focus on one, or you can just have one point of focus. And I think that is a really great way of going about it. But I think because of the general consensus of meditation, it just inhibits people to really sit with themselves and like go through their own thoughts, because you start to be like, oh, I'm not doing it right, or you say, oh, like I just can't seem to quiet my mind. And it's natural because the mind is supposed to do what it's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just that it didn't happen overnight. Like we've been operating this way for however long you've been here. So
it's like important not to judge the process.
Exactly.
Because it's like a practice. So it's like some days you feel like you're failing at it, but that's the wrong way to view it, I would say.
Yeah.
It's just like practice.
It is practice. And it's like a muscle too.
Yeah.
And like working out, or say us dancing, like we have to continue doing it in order to sustain it and to get better at it. But yeah, I think if I were to give like a general way of going about meditating, is don't, like what Ben said, don't expect to get to a place. The meditation is just about taking the time to like sit with yourself and just like try and like play with the fun of focusing on just one thing, because it's really hard for us as a society to focus on just one thing for a given amount of time. And that's it. And start maybe with 5 or 10 minutes, because anything other than that at the very beginning won't, like, then you'll start to feel like you're trying to do something rather than just sitting and being with yourself.
Right. Yeah, I know if I feel like meditation is something I should try, because I have that kind of brain that bounces back and forth all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's nice. Just 5-10 minutes, because especially for me, I'd feel like I was wasting time after a certain like, what am I doing now? I got to be doing something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Jordan feels like that every hour.
I feel like a lot of we all feel that way.
Yeah, it's true. I think we all tap in and out of that for sure.
I think, and it's, I don't know.
You feel guilty if you're not doing something too, you know? Like,
yeah.
You feel like you always have to be, but it's like totally okay not to, isn't it? Like,
I do feel like that is one of the great lessons of being in the situation currently with the world. Like, it's sort of like the whole world was put, I don't know, I saw a meme, I think online, where it's like, it feels like the whole world was just put in the corner to think about what they've done.
Oh, yeah. Like Earth is quarantining us to go away and think about what we've done. No,
yeah,
it's true.
So I think because literally we can't plan for the future right now, and we're all in our homes. Obviously, some of us have work and we're keeping busy that way, but for a lot of us, there isn't that. And I think also it's a teacher to sort of choose what you want to do with how you're talking to yourself, because you can take the situation, like being cooped up in your house, as a negative, or you can choose to take it as something positive, but not necessarily attribute like being productive as something being positive all the time, because for some people being productive can cause a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like choosing like to be okay with just sitting on a couch and not doing anything, because I think that's also quite important, because we, I think, don't give enough like care to ourselves in that way. Like we feel bad when we don't do anything, like exactly what you said, like you feel bad or you feel like you're wasting time when you're not like physically externally doing something. And that's like a belief I think that a lot of people have. I personally have never had that. Like I can sit on the couch all day and feel fine. I mean, I guess I know I do have those days where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go for a walk, and then I just go for the walk. But it's like So yeah, I think being okay with the choices you make and not having to feel bad about what your body feels like it needs, because you wouldn't be doing it if your body didn't feel like it needed it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like you're so good at this, Jeremy. I feel like you should teach it.
Teach what?
Yoga, meditation.
Well, that's our plan. Like, so we were planning on doing a yoga, what do you call them?
A yoga teacher training, yeah.
Yeah.
We had booked it for July or August, and now obviously it was going to be in Bali. It was going to be part of our honeymoon as well. But now we might have to cancel that and postpone it. I think.
No.
I know.
But it's definitely in the plans for life itself, is for us to get into this space, because we're very drawn to it, and we're very much like in life, like we do a lot of this in our daily life, is just like thinking and going in about why we do certain things and why we feel the way we feel about certain things, and we're both very much into anatomy and like how the body works, and so all of that.
You guys have a I don't know what you want to call it. You want to call it a brand or company?
Yeah, what do we want to call it?
I
A
have
brand?
no
I don't know. A
idea.
brand doesn't sound like a brand right now. I think
I'll call
platform.
it this. Okay.
Platform, yeah.
We'll call it a platform. I'll list the Instagram, and I'll list all the Instagrams and the
Facebooks and
Yeah. So we basically just like started a platform that covers basically all of this, different perspectives on what we feel about health, wellness, and the human experience. And it's a broad topic, but I feel like even though it's a broad topic, a lot of people, like maybe all of the people, think about or deal with matters of health, wellness, and like how to be. So yeah, and we feel like we can offer like just our own little perception. I kind of feel like our perceptions are worth hearing, and I think the platform itself will help a lot of people.
Absolutely.
At least that's my wish, is that the platform will help a lot of people, or if not help, just like offer a different perspective, because I feel like for any of us to learn anything or to grow, you need different perspectives. Like one show I watch called Divorce Court with Lynn Toller. She is really for lack of a better word, smart, but I don't mean book smart. I just mean
she's
like
articulate.
Yeah, she's very articulate, and she said something to this girl. The girl was saying that, but this is just who I am. Like she was describing something, and then she said, "This is just me. This is just me." And then Lynn Tolber was like, "There it is, right there." She was like, "There's two phrases." She said, "I only remember the one," but she said those phrases belong right now in your world are the pages of the beginning page and the end of the page. And when that happens, it's like there's nothing in between that will like help you grow. So she was saying that you want to start with "this is just me," and hopefully by the end of your book you will have grown and saying "this is me now." But she's limited herself by saying, "But I can't do that because this is just who I am."
Yeah.
And we give that belief to ourselves in many different ways in our own life. Like for me, running was one of them. Like I was saying, like I just don't like it. Like I don't need to do it. But
and look at you now.
Look at me now, running marathons with baby.
No, I love that. I feel like everyone does that a little bit, especially with
we all do it. We're all
from like a younger age, how your parents refer to you as, and your family, and like, oh, I'm shy, and that's just how I was. And how do you change from where you originally thought you were, and leaving that the end of the book open for you to discover.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all a book I'm reading right now is all talking a lot about belief. And we talk about this a lot and how it shapes or how it can shape how we see the world and how we view the world and our personal realities. And that's one of the things that it talks about is that from a young age, because we don't know anything, we need our parents to teach us and give us like how we're meant to exist in the world. And because
our identity.
Our identity, exactly. And because like they're the first peoples that we interact with, we see them as God, and whatever they say is truth. And a part of becoming an adult is realizing that like you can see them, like I said this to you like maybe years ago, that like I'm now seeing my parents as like equals. Like I'm an adult, you're an adult, like we can have that same, you know what I mean? It's weird, like
it's a shift.
It is a shift. And like I was just saying that like now I feel like I can have these grown-up conversations with them and speak with them like on an equal level. And with that this word equanimity with that equal sense, I don't know, you can then start to question like their beliefs, and you can say, okay, that's what you believe, but it's not necessarily what I believe, like and sort of then be like, you can take what you want from them, or that's should be the initiation into becoming an adult, is like being able to realize that you can form your own beliefs about yourself in the world and not necessarily continue, if you have continued your own, like your parents' beliefs and how they view the world.
Yeah. I think we're going through that now, talking, well, I think Dee, I don't want to speak for you, but she's had a more, I don't know, especially with your mom, it's less of your mom is definitely like a great mom, but the relationship between you guys has always been more on the equal plane. It's less of the like
mother-daughter.
It's like,
yeah, like you're like best friends.
Well, yeah, it is a bit like that. Yeah, my mom is really a strong woman, and she's always related to me with hopes of me being a strong woman. So it's both. Like I still look at her as my mom. We're not like, hey mom, like we're best friends, da da da. It's not really like that kind of relationship, but there is.
It's more playful.
It's
less.
It's less like roles, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, less having a mother-daughter role, but just interacting with each other.
But with my parents, I would say it's more of the way you described it. And I'm going through that. Yeah. I'm going through that point right now where we're more on the equal plane, talking finances for the business.
Right.
What our thoughts are versus what their thoughts are, how we're best going to succeed in the future. So
it happens. Well, yeah, it happens naturally, and it's like, and then when you think about it, you're like, whoa, like when did this happen?
Yeah, it's like an interesting phase in life, isn't it? It like teaches you a lot, I think. Or like poses a lot of questions.
Yeah, I feel like it also is just like ever changing too. Like it's not like, oh, now I feel this way about my parents. Like like one day, you know, when they die, I'm like probably gonna feel totally different. Like, where's my mom? You know.
Even still, like whenever we have, like if we have bad days, like don't like we still want to go into that, like I want my mom here, and like I want to be held by my mom. Like we're always gonna like shift between the two, I think.
Totally.
Yeah. Yay for parents.
Yay for parents. Do you guys want to be parents?
We talked about it at some point. I would like to, I think, when we're both responsible enough to do that.
Yeah.
What about you, babe? I feel like I'm speaking a lot.
No, not at all. I'm actually enjoying hearing you speak too. I'm open. I'm very open to the idea of having kids. I think right now where we are in life, it's definitely we're not there right now. I mean, there's so many things to consider, isn't there?
Oh yeah.
Even financially as
Mhm.
well, and the responsibility aspect.
Yeah, there's no setup right now.
There's no
None.
setup right now, but I'm
But-
definitely open to it, and
Mhm.
I do love the idea of having kids for sure. But it surprises me that he says that he does, because I remember like early on when we would speak about this, I didn't see it on the cards at all. And then about like a couple of months ago, I heard him talking and he was like, yeah, I think I would have kids. And I was like, what? I was like, you've never shared this with me. I didn't even know that was an option for us in the future.
Then you don't know the end of the story. You don't know the end of the story.
It's true.
I don't think I ever remember saying that I never wanted them. I feel like I've always just been like, no, like not right now, but maybe I've never said
It was no before, so I was like,
or like, I don't know, maybe
Yeah.
not, but no, definitely sometime in the future I feel like I would. Also a dog. It'd be nice to have a dog.
A dog?
Yeah.
really
I've been back and forth on that.
Dogs are
You-
kids.
Dogs.
Yeah.
Well, you're a cat person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's like, maybe not really a cat.
Oh,
I'm a cat.
she's a cat
Well,
person. Yeah.
when I see dogs, I freak out. Like I have tears in my eyes all the time.
Freak out, like scared.
Like, no,
I'm like, oh my god, I want to touch it. Like I'm like about to cry right now. Like I just get really emotional. But when I have a dog, especially like a medium-sized dog in the house,
like we've had to watch my sister's dog.
Oh, maybe.
and she's
Yeah.
so sweet. Like she's a really sweet dog, but that energy, like that always like high energy, like I need something and me like not being able to fulfill it, or me not really wanting to fulfill it, and then me feeling guilty about not fulfilling it, and then it's just like
Yeah.
it just doesn't really like work with me so much. I feel like maybe I love the idea of having a French bulldog because they just seem so like their personalities are cute, but they're not too overbearing. And
It's true. My dad actually breeds dogs in the UK, so and he used
Oh.
to breed French bulldogs. They're actually
what?
Yeah, they're really nice dogs. It's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have really cool personalities.
Yeah, they're a nice temperament. It's true.
Side note,
Yeah.
I
Go ahead.
know we're talking about animals, but have you guys watched Tiger King?
No, and I was actually saying to Ben, yes,
we
last
should.
night that we should, and I keep seeing a lot of people watch it, and it's crazy.
It's pretty good. It's pretty ridiculous, but it's pretty good.
It's
Okay.
honestly like not as good as I thought it was gonna be. Just the hype was so intense, and like it is a really great documentary, and like there's a lot of work that was put into it. Obviously, like over the amount of time that it was created, it's impressive.
Yeah.
But I found myself in the middle of it, like I could watch something else.
Mhm.
But it's interesting. It's definitely interesting, and you should watch it all the way through. But
Is it long?
It's seven episodes, so it's like 7 hours. We did it in 2 sittings.
Okay. We've been on a BBC kick for a while.
Right.
Real good series on there. Real good.
BBC. I don't think we don't have that. You guys have cable?
No.
No.
We either download or use Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and then we have a thing here called Crave, which is similar to Amazon Fire Stick, I think.
okay.
But it's like through the TV network. So when you get Crave, you get a lot of TV networks. So, and if we don't really find it, we can't find anything, I just download series.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeremy's been really enjoying like British television. So
It's so good. British
Oh,
is
that's
so good.
Like soap operas?
What's that?
No,
Is it
no.
absolutely fabulous? What's is it absolutely fabulous, or what's that British show? That,
oh yes, absolutely fabulous.
oh,
I haven't seen it, but
you haven't seen it?
I've
No.
seen like a couple of episodes here and there. I watched the movie.
Yeah.
It's quite funny actually, but we
Yeah.
should watch that from the beginning.
Oh
I
my
haven't
gosh.
watched it from the beginning. Have you watched the whole thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's Myron recommended it.
What's it about?
It's about a family, and it's just so like the humor is so ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's really funny, and it's so good. I totally recommend it.
yeah.
Amazing. I'm gonna have to try that.
We actually have it on one of the platforms that we have. I've seen it, but we'll definitely watch it.
Start it from the beginning.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
gotta start it from the beginning.
Yeah,
Gotta start it from the beginning.
I've not seen the whole thing, and like there's lots of things that, like, I haven't even seen Downton Abbey, and people are like, "You're British. How
Oh
are you
my
not
God.
watching?" I've never seen
It's
Downton
so
Abbey
good.
at all.
I
Have you
haven't
seen
heard it. No. No.
No.
Okay, it's normal.
Well, that was all the hype like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
When
it
the
was
movie
such a
came
big
out,
hype.
right?
The movie came out like last year, but it is really good. And I just, yeah, I think some of the shows that we just watched, I think you'd really enjoy, Jordan, from a if not the storyline of it, the way it's done. Like, I always find that some of the series we watch, the cinematography is beautiful, the score, like the music they use, like the way they create it, it's just always so good.
Yeah, I've found myself, before I was into filming, I didn't love to watch movies, but because I have this new thing I'm experimenting with,
Now you see the
I-
other
yeah,
sides of it.
I just have like a different dynamic of a movie that I can focus on to keep me engaged.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
nice. Like 1917.
Oh,
Did you guys
so
see that?
Oh, I want to see that. I haven't.
What is it?
It's like a one-shot style movie with it's like it's a war film.
Yeah, World War One.
Yeah, but the cinematography is out of this world.
Yeah, I bet.
Yep.
It's so hard to do one shot thing,
It's not technically one shot, but it's shot.
but it's long scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They are
Yeah.
long scenes.
I love that. I really love that.
Yeah,
I
do.
really admire when that happens. We
Yeah.
just watched, what was that series?
Split. Oh
No,
no.
not Split. The other one. It was one with this actress who I've really started
National
to enjoy.
Treasure?
Yes, National Treasure Kiri. It's
Hmm.
on Hulu if you have Hulu.
We don't.
It's really good. It's short, only 3 episodes,
Cool.
4 episodes,
Cool.
miniseries. Beautiful acting, amazing cinematography, long, like one shot style. It's really good.
So good. It like gives the actor so much responsibility, and it's almost like choreography. You have to really know timing to like make
Yeah.
that work. And then if they mess up at all, it's like, okay, go back to the beginning.
Yeah, it's
Oh my
crazy.
God, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
I would not like that pressure.
As an
Yeah.
actor,
Yeah.
it's like being a dancer.
I know.
Yeah, I guess it is like being a dancer.
Yeah.
I know.
Just-
Well, yeah, I just know how to, I guess, move my body more or better than I know how to talk.
Well, if you're prepared, then
Yeah, I mean, if I was an actor, I'd feel less.
So how have you been finding teaching, like putting your content out there? Obviously, it's very different doing it on a screen than when
Yep.
you're teaching students. Like how do you find and I don't know, like deal with that? Like, is it strange for you to do that? Because I feel like there's an element of like acting you have to kind of
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like portray yourself in a way that like there's no one physically around you, but you want to keep the energy up, or so there must be a lot of responsibility there too.
Yeah, thankfully, I got, obviously my studios that I teach for have a end of the year recital. So thankfully I got the majority of my recital dances done prior to all this happening. So I don't have to deal with choreographing a whole lot. There's a couple pieces I still have to, but I haven't had to deal with that, which is nice.
Yeah.
I have for teaching live classes, I have a big TV screen connected to the computer. So all the kids are kind of big on the TV screen, which is much better than just a 13-inch computer screen.
Yeah.
But it is strange not being able to actually see them.
Yeah, to be physically there. And like some people are doing live videos through Instagram where like you can't even see the other people, so you really
Right.
feel that you're on your own, which
Yeah,
is
like
kind of
Tyler Peck's doing one every morning, and
There's a lot of people
Isabel
doing.
Boylston, and yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to see how people interact with the camera and like what they do.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And it seems like really natural when you're watching it, but then when you think about it, you're like, wait, they're just talking to a screen right now.
Yeah.
There's no one there.
Totally.
But at the same time, like before this all happened, we were still putting out content, pre-recorded videos, like
It's true, yeah.
like how-tos and choreography and everything. So so the live classes are almost like a step up from that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Wow, yeah.
the pre-recorded are definitely harder.
I would
Yeah.
say.
That's
As
cool.
far as, like keeping engaged for me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and all the post I have to do.
Yeah, and also the pressure, because with the live video it kind of goes away, and with something that you're putting out there, and it's just going to be there forever, and you just want to like make sure you're doing everything right and you look good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's kind of cool that you guys, because you had started already doing all the content before all of this had happened. You were kind of somewhat like unconscious, like prepared for it in a way. Like you already had the camera, you already had experience, I guess, talking into a screen. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, in a way, like you had all the tools already there for you.
Mm-hmm.
I've never yet taught a class to a screen or done any of that yet, so I would find that quite strange to begin with, I think.
Yeah, I would say we were pretty prepared.
It's always strange. It's never like, I don't do it that much, to be honest. I've only done it a couple times, and even like the growth from the first time to the next time is huge, but I don't feel like it's ever like, okay, I feel good about this today. You know, like, here we go, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true.
I think the people who are most affected and really going through it are people who have owned a studio for like 35 years.
Oof.
And they're 60 years old, and they have the mindset of, I don't know about this technology, like what do I do?
That's true.
That's true, yeah.
And I think we're going to practice that with us and our business of trying to keep up with the times with technology.
But it's only going to get
it's only going to get more dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't keep up with it, then sooner or later you're gonna be
underwater,
bitten in the butt.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
Talking about your business though, actually, so like I know things right now are really uncertain, but like, where do you see yourselves going after this? Or like plans wise with Left and Dance Complex, like
with coronavirus, everything has kind of been put on pause a little bit, but we should be signing a lease within the week for a space.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And once we do that, it's going to be just easier for us to start marketing ourselves, because then we can put a location to our name.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard right now to really nail down how we're going to do the marketing, because everybody right now isn't going to care about a business coming into town. For what people are worried about right now is just
paying the bills.
It seems as if we've lost connection.
Oh, let's see.
Oh yes,
you're
back.
There we go.
Great.
I was like,
it says on our end, our internet. Oh, maybe it's fine.
We'll see.
all right, it's great.
We'll see.
Good here.
But yeah, people aren't really, I think, interested in a new business or paying money to a new business right now.
Or looking like into the future, really. Like you said, like everyone's kind of just on pause. And so for parents to think, oh, like maybe I want to sign up my child for a dance class in September, they're like not thinking about
that far ahead yet. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's day by day right now.
Yeah.
And literally the whole world is day by day.
Yeah.
But
I think we can find some comfort in that. Absolutely.
I guess our hope is like by June, July, people are like ready to get the kid out of the house.
Yeah, that's actually a really
It's so true. I mean, I speak to my sister, she has 3 kids, and she's at that point already.
I saw those videos. Oh my gosh. So
cute. Yeah, my sister.
Cute.
Which ones?
Of Ben's sister.
Oh, I didn't see them.
Trying to like entertain her children.
Yeah,
they're really cute, but like
So cute.
yeah, I guess it's the first time where like parents have been with their children every day, all day for this amount of time already. So I think they're learning things too.
Yeah.
Yep. There's a lot of things rewiring.
Everything. It's strange.
Yeah, a lot. I think we're gonna come out of this in some way or shape or form new. Like, or we have that option to come
Yeah.
out of.
Yeah, I love that. It's like you have the availability to grow, and like you can take advantage of that, or you could just sit in your house and be sad. Hopefully that's not the case, but you
Yeah,
could do
sure.
both of those things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what was it? I don't know why I just thought of this, but the thing that we have hanging up in our bathroom that Tara gave me.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that prayer. I don't know who made it, but it's like, grant me the serenity to accept things I can't change, to the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
I like that.
Tara gave that to me a long time ago. I think it was for a birthday of mine, maybe. Yeah, it just came to my mind right now because I feel like it's a really great, relevant sort of mantra you can recite, because obviously, like, given to what is happening in your own life at the time, like you could be out of work, which is its own thing, or you could still be working but at home, which is its own thing. You can be at home with kids, which is its own thing. So there's like many things. So obviously, if you can't change something, like, accept that you can't change it. And if you can change something, like, instead of maybe, I don't know, feeling bad about being home, like what we said earlier.
Yeah, your outlook.
You can change it to feel okay about being home, and then maybe feeling good about being home, and then that could lead to some productivity of doing something.
Yeah.
So the courage to change things that you can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about mindset.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's like every day is different. Like I wake up some days, I'm
Yeah.
like, I got this. Like this is gonna be great. I'm gonna be so productive. And then some days I'm like, I don't want to do that much today, or I'm not feeling.
And that's totally fine too.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got to give ourselves the fluidity to experience whatever we need to experience.
Yeah. And right now, to be honest, I haven't actually thought that much about this. I don't want this to sound bad at all. I haven't thought much about dance. There's so much going on in the world that, like, I don't know. I think I was in a bit of shock coming back from Europe, because the way we were in Europe when this was all happening and trying to get out of the country before we got stuck there was just so insane.
Yeah.
And then coming back, I was like, what just happened? Like, we haven't slept in like 2 days, and we've been trying to get out of Spain, and then we like tried to flee to France because we were scared Spain was going to close on us, and then from France we tried to get back to Canada. We drove through the night. That was just like wild. And I guess like, at the beginning of all of this, I was in an element of shock. Like, I was kind of like, I'm not sure what to think or like how to feel right now. And then as things progress, like I have like good days, and then I have bad days. And like the good days, I tend to be more productive. And then I have bad days where I kind of start to feel a bit down about everything that's happening. And then, but I'm like also then trying not to judge that either, and let that just, I think that's totally normal given what's happening right now in the world, you know?
Yeah, everyone's feeling like that, I think.
Everyone must be feeling the same, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, totally.
Yeah. We've heard a couple people say that, like, art is an essential element of life, and art should still be happening. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Art, what do you mean? In the sense of like having shows?
Well, specifically dance.
Like going to shows and stuff?
Like people should be funding dancers right now. They are essential, and their art should be being made right now in the crisis.
I think that is I think that's valid. I don't know to what extent. Like, for instance, here, I don't know what it is there, but kind of different but similar in the sense of it can reach whoever. Liquor stores and cannabis shops are deemed essential and are not closed.
Yeah, I hear too.
So, interesting.
Which for some people it is. Like, if some people who are battling like mad anxiety with the given situation, if they don't have it, it could be more detrimental. So I guess in that sense, I can see it being essential art because it is so healing in many facets. I don't know how that could be how that could work. I mean, I feel like we're doing it now already through social media. Like, there's so many ways you can view art, not necessarily in person.
Yeah.
But I would agree. I would
100% agree. I think it's very essential. Art in general, I think for a long time and still now, we are underfunded, which is really frustrating. And I think there needs to be a better support system for freelancers too, especially in a current crisis like this. And if you think about it now, we're all stuck at home and we're listening to music, we're watching Netflix, we're watching actors, we're on social media, like all of that is art.
Yeah.
And without any of that, we would just be going crazy in our own homes.
Books are art,
So like, I think so it is essential. I don't know how you'd get past figuring out like how you would be making art in this current time. Like person to person, like physically, like with other people. I don't know how there'd be a way around that, and I'm not sure if that would entirely be safe right now. But
it's definitely doable in the sense of like non-physical.
Yeah, but I think what's happening online for the people that are able to and want to carry on, I think it's just like kind of great.
And I think it's serving its purpose.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine if none of us had TV or like could dance around or draw or like, it's forcing us to find ways of being more creative too, and accessible. So I think it's a self-healing sort of thing as well.
Yeah.
Like self-soothing, like all these practices, like art, I guess, in its broad term. Like, I don't know, like sometimes I'll pick up a pen and I'll just start drawing, and I'm not a drawer at all, but I don't want to move usually. So I'm just like, all right, well, what else can I do? And I'll just draw, and I'll just like draw away. And then afterwards I'll look at it and be like, oh yeah, look what I made. And then I'll just put it away, and then I'll feel fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't imagine like what would we be doing if we weren't engaging. I feel like that's what this time is for, is to connect with that other side of ourselves that isn't so maybe work oriented, if people don't have that, or you know what I mean. I do think it's essential. What about you guys?
What was the context of this the statements?
What do you mean?
You
It is very broad.
The essential business. I guess just like zeroing in on the dance art form, my question for you guys is, do you have any frustration with dance on its own? So like, it's really easy to like relate to Netflix shows or social media, and like how do you view dance, and do you have any frustration with dance as an art form or not?
Like, nobody's really watching dance right now.
Right.
In their free time.
Right.
Some people are.
I have frustration with dance itself generally, like how it, like in what context? I mean, like in the way it is in.
Do you mean generally outside of COVID-19?
I guess both. Like it can be sort of magnified within COVID-19, but then like generally on its own, how you relate to it and how you view normal people relating to dance.
Interesting question.
I feel like in terms of normal people relating to it, it's about, I think it goes back to what people define themselves as and what they take in.
Yeah.
So I guess
it depends on the person.
A normal person would probably not like attach to dance if they feel like it's way far from them, you know what I mean? Or like it's just something that they can never do, or so it can be really, I don't know.
I think the reason why I think it's essential work is like, this is obviously our main primary job. It's something that's paying our bills, that's giving us a living, that is our profession, and something that we love and enjoy ultimately. However, there's a huge population out there that don't see dance as a real job, which is frustrating in itself because it's absolutely a real job. And whenever I sometimes tell people that, they're like, yeah, but what's your real job? And I'm like, that is my real job. I've been doing that professionally since I was 18, you know, like that is what is paying for like the roof over my head. And so I wish people would realize that it is an essential art form, and it is something that is giving a lot of people like a living. And within the dance world, I think there's so many strides to be made to like, I think possibly there are not enough systems in place to support dancers. Like for me, what I'm realizing over here in North America is that there's not enough systems in place to support dancers' transitions. And actually how much of a like a mental effect that has on you, you know, when it's something that, like for me, for instance, this is all I've done. Like I've never had any other job than dance. So there's so many questions from here on out of like, for my future of like what I would do next. Like, do I want to stay in the dance world because that is what is expected, or that is what everyone tends to do, but is that what I want to do? And then if I don't do that, what are my options and how do I explore those? And I just think, you know, like I know in the UK there's a system that is like a dancer's career transitional fund, and basically they have a network of people that have transitioned out of dance, that have become lawyers or that have become interior designers, or they have gone completely different directions after having a full career in dance. And they basically help you, they put you in touch with the people that have transitioned, so you can ask them questions, you can get advice, and on top of that they give you there's like a grant available to everyone that is transitioning, so you can apply for up to like £15,000 to retrain into something, whether it be you want to open up your own studio, your own business, you need Pilates equipment to open up a studio, or whether you want to go back to school or photography courses or anything. And I think a lot of the time we're just left in the dark here, is what I'm realizing in North America. We have to kind of just figure it out on our own. And that might sound privileged. I don't know. I don't want it to, but I just think there could be a better support system for dancers in a way. And also, you know, like employers full-time, because when we're off, when we are off, you are still held responsible to keep in shape and to keep training in a way. And the bills don't go anywhere, you know, like things don't go anywhere. So I think it would, I don't know, those are things that, I don't know if they do sound privileged.
No, they don't.
Or what, but I do feel like that is a very European kind of construct. And I do think that is something that dancers should try to be building over here too, you know?
Yeah. While I don't have any past dealings with the company, I know career transitions for dancers does exist in the US.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, which is pretty equivalent to what you're saying with grants.
Amazing. Okay, I didn't know that.
Some
You have to have been dancing professionally for 7 years. That's
okay.
a requirement.
That's the qualification.
Yeah, I think
we may be talking to them soon for the studio. So
that's good.
That's really good. Thank you for letting me know that. I actually wasn't aware of that. I guess I base that judgment a lot on what people tell me in North America, like other dancers, but that's interesting.
No, I do think that the American spirit plays a big role in it. Like, you got to work for what you get.
It is
right, like it's not entitled to you.
Yeah,
which I agree with.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice that career transitions for dancers does exist, though.
And yeah, it really is. I think it's quite important. Personally.
Yeah, I think it's important too. Just because I think it's just important for I guess, government or state, county to just have bases covered for its citizens. Because I think there are going to be those people who necessarily don't have that gusto to like figure it out on themselves. They might just get really like overwhelmed and then not do anything. And I think, yeah, so I think just by having something, which I'm glad to hear that exists, just by having that for people to use or not use if they need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know that I found that really helpful personally, like using that system back in the UK. I guess another thing I feel passionate about is how companies don't always deem it like necessary to have physios. And I think that's a big thing for me, because it's kind of like sending someone into the office with no like antivirus on a computer. Yeah, it's like saying, okay, we're going to give you a laptop, but there's no antivirus. Good luck, kind of like. And like, I think like we do as much as we can to like protect ourselves and work well and sensibly, but the work that we do, it's like strenuous, and it is like, it's physical, and it's like almost like a sport in a way as well, and like, so I think like it's important to have that there for the dancers too, and it's sort of sad to feel like when you need to see a physio that sometimes maybe you're not, like you guilt yourself, or maybe you think, I shouldn't, because, or people project that upon you, and
or you can't afford it,
or you can't afford it, exactly. And I just think like that's just a huge part missing in a way for a lot of dance companies.
Yeah, like, can you imagine like an NFL football player like getting injured, that being like, okay, well, let's throw the next guy in, like.
I think the point is as well is that kind of like being in a dance company, you give so much of yourself, and you want to feel like they're also taking care of you to a certain degree, and that you're also taking care of when something bad happens to your body, instead of feeling like maybe you're just feeling like a little bit disposed of, or useless, like at least if you could have a physio for guidance and exercises and how to, or identifying what the problem may even is, like it's hard to self-identify sometimes when maybe your knowledge is limited on the anatomy, or so it's kind of an important one, I think. So those would be my frustrations.
Yeah, I agree. I think in terms of frustrations, I would say the same thing, physios. And I think I would maybe add a little more on the physio side, is to have maybe like a physio in-house, because a lot of companies like will have plans to where you can go and you can like find a physio like on your own and see that physio, but you're working on that physio schedule, and then they're sometimes not available. Like we have a physio here and he's booked all the time, but he's a really good, like, no, not physio, osteopath, but he's really good, but he's booked all the time, so it's really hard to get in to see him. And obviously also, like, of course, touring a lot, when we're like this much on tour, this much in the studio, and no one comes on tour with you, like that, you like, how are you going to find a physio when you're only 2 days in a French small town, like it becomes difficult. And then
do you guys have understudies?
No.
Wow. So like if there was an injury that was really bad, would you work through it, or would you rework the piece?
We work the piece, yeah. So we have the show that we're doing now, there's about 8 different versions, because of just people getting injured and people not being there and having to, so it can be.
It keeps it exciting.
It does. It does in a way. I think the physio thing is just such a preventative, like I think everyone should go and check in with a physio once a week or something, to like as a preventative measure. Keep on top of things.
But you don't have to be your own doctor too. Like you
exactly.
Okay, I think I could do it, I think that's
exactly. And it eliminates the pressure as well. If a dancer goes to the teacher and says, I have to be off, you're like, ultimately there could be some kind of like backlash of that. Whereas when it comes 100%. From a professional physio, you're not dealing with that, because it's not necessarily you saying like, I'm taking myself off, like it's like, sometimes it's not a choice to fight through it, for certain injuries. And it's awful to feel that element of pressure too, when it comes to like health and safety in a way. Yeah. But I think those would be like the main ones. I can't think of many more because.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Frustrations with dance. I think.
Oh my God.
There's Patrick.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, she's pretty.
Yeah, she's so
pretty.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking about. Yeah, because when I think about frustrations with dance, it's never about dance itself.
Yeah,
it's always just about.
It's like the political side of dance.
Yeah,
you know?
because
like dance politics.
Yeah, because for me, dance is just a way for me to express myself, and I know that's real cliche. It's said all the time, but like it's so true, and it's like, it's just, I don't know, it's so healing for me to just be able just to like move, and it doesn't have to be in any sort of way. It's just like, just to get my body moving and working through its own things. It's I don't have, maybe frustrations about me being injured and not having to like the full range that I would like, and being frustrated about having to perform and not feeling like I can do everything that I want because I'm injured. But yeah.
Obviously, in the mix of all that, there are so many great things about having a dance career too, you know, that you shouldn't really take for granted too. You know, it's like any job, there's going to be, like, the grass is not always greener, you know. It's like every place has its thing, you know. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I wonder, with your touring experience and like the different audiences you've had in house, how do different people react to performances around the world?
It's very culturally different because,
like in China,
in
they're
China,
very
reserved.
Very. Sometimes I thought there was no audience at the end.
Yeah, because you know how like
it's crazy. They weren't told to clap, so they were scared about it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we went once through a whole show, and they didn't clap at all, and we were just like, "What is? Do they like it? Like, are they enjoying themselves?" And then, like, even when the curtain came down, it took them a little bit to realize that it was, I don't know, to realize it was over, maybe.
Oh,
but yeah, so they're very reserved. Obviously, Americans are very like loud and boisterous, and really just like, it's really nice to have that energy.
Yeah, absolutely. You feel appreciated that way. Like from me, like the difference between performing in the UK and the US, the English are quite reserved too. Not quite as much as China, but they're quite reserved too. And then like working for BGM and performing more around North America, like I was shocked at some of like the reactions, because they were just so appreciative, and it was really nice to feel that, because you feel like, oh, they really appreciated what I just did, and it, you know, it's hard work too, so it was like really nice to feel that. I think, and not that they don't appreciate it in other countries. I think it's just a different way of expressing it. You know,
it's true.
I think sometimes like being an audience member, you forget that the performer is having an internal dialogue about how they're being reacted to. And they just like see the art form, and they don't feel invited to have like a reaction, or they don't want to disturb what's going on. And it's always so interesting. Like even me, like watching a ballet or being in the audience, I don't want to like interrupt, you know. And I think the more that people remember that it's okay to like have a reaction, the more the performer feels validated, and like just like it's a dialogue, you know. And
I think it maybe stems back from, I guess, because ballet is probably, ballet is more like mainstream. Back in the day, it was like the most mainstream art form in terms of going to see a show besides opera. And I think there is a like a mannerism back then, or it's like, I mean, people would dress up and like go and see the ballet, and it was a very almost regal thing.
Well, people did the same things to like take flights on airlines too. They would dress up to go on a flight. Like times have just changed.
So I think maybe a little bit of that air still exists when going to see a show. But I think maybe it has to do with the show itself, maybe, because obviously in ballets too, I feel the same way. Like, unless it's like, I remember when I came to see you two in Nutcracker, and you guys didn't know I was there, and I think
Did you
I
surprise
yelled,
them?
Yeah, I surprised them.
Aw.
Until I heard him laugh.
We weren't even together.
Yeah, I was laughing.
You heard his
No, they weren't together at the time, but I remember at one point after he came on, I yelled. I don't know if you heard me, and then I laughed really loud, and I was just not being like a responsible audience member. But
But that show didn't call for it.
right. But in the sense that it could have, because it was it was a ballet. But say if you go see like a hip hop show, you wouldn't have the same like inhibitions. Like, you would feel okay to like
right.
get
Like
into
there's a certain etiquette at the theater, maybe like an opera house, or
Right.
perhaps, I don't know what that would be, but
But in terms of contemporary, I think it sort of bleeds in between, because you don't, people can be like, oh, should I clap here or should I not? Whereas I feel like us already in the dance world going to see a contemporary show, we wouldn't feel inhibited to like clap if something was good, or like yelp, hoop, and holler when we feel like something was good.
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't, at least I would.
Yeah. Going back to like the frustration of the art form, I feel like it's hard for people that don't have a relationship with dance, or people that even see dance all the time that aren't dancers, to relate to it.
Right.
I don't know. I was wondering if you felt like that at all.
Well, yeah, I can see that, definitely. Like, in terms of, say, my parents. My mom was always into it, but I think my dad was more, it took him a while to get into it, just because he felt like he couldn't relate to it. It was like what I was saying earlier, if he felt, or one would feel like it was so far away from his personality structure or the way he goes about life, so it can be hard to get into. So yeah, I would agree with you in that sense. And I guess it just takes, I don't know, like some primer, like maybe they go see a show that was, I don't know, there's so many, like a businessman who never saw, this is like an example I just made up, a businessman who had never seen a dance show would probably love to go see a show that had suits, because he would relate to that. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Some element to sort of like, they can latch on and be like, oh yeah, this seems interesting. Like, and they can sort of play on their perception of what that would mean. Like, yeah, I can feel like that's me walking down the street, and they can get into it that way. But I agree with you, and mainly now because we're getting more into like where dance is evolving, and it's like it's getting more and more experimental, and like trying to reach boundaries or break boundaries as to what dance is, and like what people can create and what inspires people. So definitely more experimental stuff like my parents don't understand at all. But I agree, it can be very frustrating, especially if you're trying to, I guess, build something and get it out there so people could see that aren't necessarily just like dance students or people in the dance world.
Yeah, I guess when I like watch a Netflix show or a play or listen to music, there's the element of the language, and when people don't speak the language of dance, it's hard for them to
relate
understand it or relate.
Yeah, it's very true.
That's what I was just thinking about. Like, even like you were saying Netflix, like when you watch a show, like some people don't enjoy watching like subtitled movies.
Yeah.
Or like, because they just don't want to, because maybe they find that they can't relate, or they want something more easy and accessible to watch, where they don't have to work as much of like, you're missing a lot of like image content because you're spending half of your time reading, or I don't know what that is, or but yeah,
it's true.
But it's also subjective, isn't it?
Very
it's like,
subjective.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, like it's interesting, like dancers are like their own kind of breed. It's like, if I showed my sister some forms of dance that I really appreciate, like where they're maybe less commercial, say, she might not get on board with that, but I think it's like super artistic,
Right.
and like it says a lot, to me. And it might not to her, because she might find it boring, or she might not like those like smaller nuances, because it's less like, like a lot of the commercial things tend to be very successful. Like you see it on TV constantly.
Because
Like
I think sometimes too with the commercial stuff, like you're kind of pleasing the audience, like
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's true.
virtuosic, beautiful movement that's like impressive and like, well, I
yeah,
can't do
close it.
that.
You're
Yeah.
right.
Do that, and then like when you watch a Netflix show, you're not thinking about like, could I be an actor? Like,
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Like you're appreciating it in a way for what it is, I think.
Yeah, I guess it's still it's still very much new in that sense, dance, like going to see a show. And I don't know, because when I think about it that way, like people nowadays will spend most of their time watching movies, or spend most of their time like relating to those different types of art forms. And then you have families that probably have never gone to see a dance show.
Yeah.
Like it's just not either not accessible to them because they live in a rural part of the world, or it's just like they don't have anyone in their personal circle that is a dancer. So it's just like maybe it's that the fact that it's like for us it is our life, and it's like something that we're constantly around, and we're connected to so many dancers around the world that we feel like it's like as saturated as maybe like the movie industry or like those other sorts of mediums. But maybe it's not yet, and maybe that's what it is. And I think I don't know, I kind of find solace in the fact that, because I don't know, I don't think I've ever thought about the frustration from that perspective, but it's nice to hear. But I think also the fact that there will be as many people that are interested as there is people who aren't. And I feel like those people who are interested may have a way in which to share it to other people that we don't, you know what I mean? But I do agree that like I do think that dance can be very healing, because even though it's not something that you can like speak or anything, everyone has a body, and everyone, like it's known that in order to keep your body healthy is to move it, whether that be working out or like running, or like just some sort of physical activity is like everyone can relate to that. And maybe it's just like that person themselves to let go of their ideas or preconceived notions of it to get on board with it.
Yeah, and it was like what we were talking about earlier again, isn't it? Like how like it's a little underfunded, or if people already have a judgment on dance isn't a real job, or I feel like that kind of coincides with this a little bit.
You know what I just thought of, actually? Anytime I speak about dance or anything I'm going through, my dad will say, so you guys got a rehearsal coming up, or you guys got the ballet coming up. Like he only has that vocabulary for it. Like either it's a ballet or it's just rehearsal, or not rehearsal, but like practice. He says it's practice, not even rehearsal. He's like, so you guys got practice coming up, or like,
I love that.
So through his scope, it is almost a little bit, it's not as wide as ours. So like maybe it's, I guess just more immersion.
Yeah, I guess I wonder, like, how can the dancers and the dance companies be more responsible for opening up the door to normal people and how they relate to it, and it not being more the responsibility of the normal person to relate to dance? How do we bridge the gap,
I think what like things that could be interesting, and I don't know, I'm sure this already happens a lot, is just like the obvious kind of things of like open days, people coming in to do like viewings of rehearsals, maybe watching pre-runs of a show, maybe people like even I remember in the recession in 2008 that happened, the company had to think of like really creative ways of trying to save people from losing their jobs. So like we used to do things like buy a dinner date with a dancer, you know? So it was kind of like you would get to know the dancers. So it's more like that interactive, like inviting them in to get to know, not only just see the final product on stage, but to get to know who we are, what we're about, and include them into it, you know? And interestingly enough now as well, like I have a friend from the UK who's running something called the Ballet Retreat, and it's like an adult ballet program for adults who had passions as a younger child to be a ballet dancer. And it's just like really just whether it be a passion or a hobby, like it's we're inviting the older generation into, you know, not just it for the young, but like come see us. It's not just for young, it's for everyone. And I don't know what other ones there would be, but those are the things that I would think is like, and I know that I don't feel like as a company we do enough of that, you know, like I've spoken about that quite a lot before, of like how do we like bridge that gap, like you're talking about, like bring them into us, you know, rather than just like meeting them backstage after a show, you know, like to make them like a community.
Yeah, I it's interesting. I'm now thinking of it in the way that like in the recession or right now what we're going through, when there's a lot of pressure on the company to like stay afloat, like how do you be marketable, like how do you reach people that want to give, you know? And like when you get a lot of money from the government, it's easy to say like, I'm in my dance world, you know, like this is what we do, and like come see us change. You know, like it's the priorities, and like how are you essential, like show people what is essential. And I think there's a lot of it's sad what we're going through, but it really shines light on like how important are you? How are you going to show the world what's important?
That's so true. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I think it's like it's just constantly having to shed light on the fact that like art matters, because art is so broad, and like it's like it touches everyone in different ways, like whether it being a healing process, an activity, like something you do for exercise or whatever, or just pure enjoyment too, you know, like people still are going to the theaters, and I just think it's just like constantly fighting for the fact that like it's, or showing people, inviting people into new perspectives of how important this art form actually is. I think, I don't know, do you have any what do you think?
No, I agree with you in the sense of like I feel like it's a great question that you asked, Dee, about how important are you, like how do you market yourself?
That's true.
It's something that I personally always struggle with in terms of marketing myself and marketing, just like putting myself out there, because I feel like it's something that I still kind of can't wrap my head around, and I'll tell you why. It's just because I feel like
we were talking about this the other day.
I feel, I don't know, for me personally, I don't do what I do for other people. And it's like, I understand that in order to make a living, you do need to do these things. And that is a role that one would need to step in. But I do also have the belief that one will, when one puts out something so strongly, like wanting to build a business, and is doing that genuinely and putting their full heart into it, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. Like, we don't live in a vacuum, and everything reacts off of everything. And I think that in that instance, the law of attraction works. It always does. And I feel like you can have the best marketing strategy in the world, and there will be people adverse to it. Like Apple is doing a great job of like marketing themselves, and they're worldwide, but there are still people who don't use Apple products. And like, so I feel like the message will get across, and I feel like the belief in that the message will get across, and that what you want to do will get across, is enough. And I do think that not to say that you just like think it and like sit and not do anything. That's obviously not what I'm saying, but I think the pressure of trying to figure out how to do it in a way that will like the pressure of how to do it so that it reaches X, Y, and Z, for me, it inhibits me more than just doing something that feels right and like going about it in the way that feels right. And then like letting all of that work for itself. So I don't know. We had this sort of conversation.
Yeah, we had
about
this conversation the other day because obviously, like, sometimes it's difficult because you can get too in your own head that it can like obstruct your way forward, and it kind of stops me sometimes thinking clearly. And then I have to remind myself I have to lead with my heart. And but then also when you're running a business, you do have to think things through. And there are so many facets to this to think about, and there are so many boxes to tick in order to get certain funding, you know, whether it be like, I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of my friends that have tried to or are opening business. There's always like requirements of X, Y, and Z to show that, or in order to more likely get funding for things, which I would never even thought about if you don't look into those, you know, like, I don't know.
I wonder, do you think there's a way that the newer generation could be educated on how to market themselves, that would be useful, instead of just looking at how do you complete the art form and make it beautiful, but how do you share it?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's,
I think
that's really interesting. Actually, I never really, I guess I thought about that, but I think that also could be something that could be set up in like the support of a dancer's transition, you know, like how do you support, like, or how do you, or what, is there people that you can be put in touch with to advise and like help with that? I don't know.
Yeah, that there's like a secondary person to help that artist.
Yeah, like to give us the tools and knowing how to navigate that, because I would have no idea, I guess.
Yeah. One of our friends actually started her own business called Mentorly. And it's a way in which people can sign up and get mentored in any field by people in that field.
That's cool.
You can be the mentor, or you can can also go and get advice from others in different professions, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So that I just thought of that because I thought like you probably could like, or an up and coming dancer could probably sign up there and reach out to someone who's in marketing and get mentored on that, you know. But it's definitely something, that's only one company I know of, and it's not very big right now, but she did think about that and she started that, and I think it was a really good idea. And if you guys ever want to do mentorships, we can give her your information, vice versa. No,
but I don't know if that answered your question, did it? Really?
Yeah. Lovely answer.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I think it's just like an ongoing question I have, you know, and like how does the artist share the art? Because that's a part of being an artist, and we all have different judgments on what art is, and like it's subjective, like you said. It's just, I would love for us artists to be more accountable and responsible and more open to the idea of sharing that, and that can be just as important as making the art, because art is to be shared, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree with that.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like it's I feel like, yeah, because I feel like social media now is like the way in which we do that. And for a long time before then, it was going to see the shows. So I think, yeah, I guess just maybe, I don't know if I don't have an answer.
Yeah, I think social media is the gateway to everything.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's an interesting question though, because I think like, I know there are a lot of dancers who don't care about the responsibility of that. Do you know what I mean? Like they like going in, doing their job and going home and like switching off. And then there are dancers there that really like want to take on that responsibility more. And I really like, I respect that, you know, like I think it's needed. And that's all.
Yeah, because being a dancer is an interesting thing. Like you are an artist, but you're not always the one that's creating the art. You're not the choreographer. And so like your job is mostly being the tool. And so you're not really, I mean, I've gone through a lot of phases where I'm like, this isn't my work. Like, I don't feel responsible to share it. Like, I love it and it's great. And I'm so grateful. And
but you want to have a voice of your own in a way. Yeah.
And I'll like share it. I'll share it, but it's not like I have to share it. You know, it's, I'm doing it and I'm satisfied doing it.
Right. I feel like there's many facets or many levels of being a dancer.
Right.
I feel like I feel like all of those levels are completely valid and 100%. Like there's no wrong in them.
It's true.
But no, it's true. I guess if I'm thinking about like me as an artist, I've never thought of myself as an artist to share. I think because in the way in which I got into it, I don't know, and that's just me, because I know that some people have gotten into it with that idea. Is like I feel like I want to share with the world this. But for me, it was mostly the reason why I got into it was to integrate my emotions from when I was a child, and like all of my childhood stuff. Like it was the only way I could understand myself. So I think I've kept that, and because it feels good, because it is so soothing, you continue it and you never want to stop doing it. But there is and I think everyone starts to think about this when they get to that point where they're like, either if they don't want to be in a company anymore, what do you want to do? Because like what you said, like a lot of us only perform work that isn't ours. And where in which you don't feel like you have that responsibility to share, or you can actually, because you'll get penalized. But if I think about it, like anytime I'm improvising, I do want to share it because it is from here, and I think the natural part of art is that vibration of sharing it, and I think I don't know, I feel like that happens naturally, and I think, but it's true, like how do you make it more open? It's true. And I think, I don't know, like the things that I'm thinking about, like
I think
when we were,
sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I also think like companies have a responsibility as much as the dancer too, to open the doors more, you know, in a way. Because I think we can do so much and the companies can do so much, but the companies tend to usually see it as a business, and I understand why. But I think it's also just like they also realize that in order to get audiences in and to broaden your audiences is to like kind of make interesting ways of just opening the doors more, I think, personally. Which I know like just a lot of companies don't do.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
I've already said that anyway.
No, it's true.
I think it would also like help the companies in the long run.
Yeah.
They can get, like, that is looking at it like a business, you know, and the more you share, the more money you're going to get, hopefully.
Yeah.
The longevity of the business.
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it? You gotta think about
longevity.
Yeah. That looks like my arc of longevity.
I like that.
Yeah.
But it went down.
It was gravity, natural. Yeah.
Wow, we've been talking a long time.
Have we really? What time is it?
4.
Sorry about the delay today, guys. It was like the supermarket thing just took over, and it took a lot longer than we realized.
No, you stopped moving.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, we did?
Yeah,
you stopped moving.
We can hear you, though.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Okay, I just gotta it should be fine. It just said my internet was unstable, but it seems to be stable.
Yeah, it should be good now.
I have a question for both of you. What do you wish your younger dancer self knew that you know now?
Ooh, go ahead, babe.
No.
No,
You
go
take
ahead.
it first. I
You go
think I
ahead,
need
take
a
it.
second to think about it.
My younger dancer self. Please hold.
So
Yeah, if you have something.
I think, personally, I'm not like the most confident person in a way. And I think for me, it would just be, I feel like I'm on RuPaul, you know, when they do this on RuPaul and they talk to their own picture. Sorry.
Yeah, it's true.
Actually.
But I feel like I would say drop the fear, like of any kind, because it's like it's prohibiting me moving like to my potential.
Mm-hmm.
Is like I carried a lot of fear and worry about. I was speaking about this to Jeremy the other day of like when you're young and you're at school. And I was at that kind of interesting crossover point of like old school training to like what it is now.
Yeah.
So it was like I kind of lived through both when teachers were still using like, you know, like when there was less legal stuff in the way. Let's put it that way. So like there was less protection. But I would say, you know, when being young and being in ballet school, I was at boarding school, so I started there at 11. When you sometimes when teachers have their own methods of teaching students and they show favoritism and it isn't an equal learning platform for them, that can really play detriment to children, I think. And sometimes, like for instance, growing up, like it was really difficult to be seen in a way, and I had wished that sometimes my training system showed me like equal care to all of us, you know, like to have the same kind of training that the favorite might get or someone else might get. And I think that what I would take from that I deemed true, because I was too young to realize myself that what one teacher was thinking or how they were teaching me, I thought was the right way and was true. So that stayed with me for a while, you know, and through that, I built a lot of insecurities and fears where I felt not good enough or maybe judged. And really, we all should be working in a more judgment-free space to be able to work freely. And I think that for me, it would just be to like be kind to yourself, trust yourself, and to like drop the fear, I think, because that's the only way you can really get past like facing things, is the only way you can really move forward, is kind of like what I wish I'd known when I was younger.
Yeah.
I think
That's beautiful.
I think for me it would be to not it's okay to be yourself in dance, especially in my younger years, because I felt like I was trying on many coats, and I think that's all a little normal, but I feel like the way in which I was doing it was not beneficial to myself, because I was doing it because I felt like what I had before was wrong. I mean, or that I wasn't good enough because I moved in a certain way, or like, you know what I mean? So I think, or that my legs were too skinny, or like, just because I think when you first get into it, I think it's natural that you compare yourself to, or you look at others for inspiration, but sometimes that's a very thin line of inspiration and
comparison.
Yeah, comparison. And I did more on the comparison and shifted because of that, and not because of what I felt. I felt like I had to do that in order to be good, because I felt like there was a certain standard of good. And I think gradually, like coming out of it, I've learned more slowly that it's okay to like sort of be your own person, because you are your own person and you're the only you, unless you're a twin. So I think that would be mine, is just to be okay in your own skin. And
Yeah,
and
that's so important, actually.
it's very important.
Yeah.
Even I feel like now
Yeah.
sometimes.
Of
Yeah,
course, yeah,
totally.
that's really interesting because, you know, like for me, obviously coming from a more like ballet background training, there's an ideal. You know, there's an ideal of how long your legs should be, or how you should look like a prince, or how you should look a certain way. You know, and I don't have any of those things. And
Yeah, right.
and I remember one of my teachers saying to me, I will never have a dance career, but somehow I have had one, you know? So, and I just think it's like how teachers need to have better responsibility of how they teach. And I'm sure it's all down to the individual. I know things have changed a lot too, but yeah, I think being yourself is like, you're not going to please everyone. Again, you know, art is subjective. So I think it's just keeping focused and working hard and try to like block out all the other noise.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Yeah, I would like to know too.
I would say I would have liked to know the amount of strengthening that should have been involved in my training.
Right, I would
That
agree
was
with you as
not.
well. Yeah, I would agree with you.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I
because
think,
From generally or from Juilliard?
no,
in
From
total,
Juilliard.
like
Okay, in total.
everywhere.
Okay.
From the time I started dancing, there was no sense of a need for
body maintenance.
like yeah, and it's just really important. And I think the lack of that has led to the majority of my injuries, which eventually has led to
You stop.
me retiring from dancing full time.
Yeah, I 100% agree, because even, I guess, the importance of it is what you said, like the importance of of having like the training of keeping your body like well tuned in all areas, because it's
Yeah.
not just going to train in ballet. It's like you
Yeah.
need, if you're working
Right.
so much outside, you need to work internally. And and I find that even when we were at school, like we had all of those resources and I did not use any of them.
Yeah.
Like even like we had a full PT suite, and I probably only went 3 times out of the 4 years we were there.
You appreciate it when you leave.
You appreciate
though.
it when you leave, definitely. And I think I think the importance, maybe because it, again, like you, it wasn't instilled in me in the beginning, was all about the external like tricks and like having bendy backs and like just doing things for the aesthetic of it, not doing things like correctly. And we since we started doing yoga, the physical practice of yoga, we found that like we are weak in most areas, and we were thinking that we were strong in these areas, but it's actually just weakness.
Yeah.
And as well, like when you do yoga, because you do work all of the muscles, you find that like you become a lot more strong. So I would definitely agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I would agree for sure too. Wow, like that's an interesting one.
What about you, Dee?
Yeah.
Similar to you, Jeremy. I feel like if I could have told myself at a younger age that being an individual was really important, and that the sooner I could like find myself, the sooner I would start building on that.
Mm-hmm.
And how I could have influenced myself more on being an individual sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot, like, and that's also just being more aware of like what's happening internally. I think a lot of people are like looking for outside perspectives instead of being on the
Approval.
inside. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the sooner I could have done that, and like I'm still working on that. I think I always will be working on that. It's just,
We all do.
Yeah.
I think that's the whole process of finding who we are, is
Mm-hmm.
like we are taught to look externally when we're younger, and we soon realize, I guess through life experiences, that like everything starts from the inside, and like how you grow starts from the inside. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and how you find yourself too, because like people that I find really inspiring and like I love watching, they're unique.
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's like
Like
how
they're an individual.
they're an individual. Yeah. And there's something different about them. And just like knowing that there's something different about you and find that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Or yeah, I 100% agree because especially in dance, I don't know about any other art form, we are so critical of ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and it bleeds out into like other aspects of our lives, um and you usually gravitate towards those who are sound in themselves because it's something that you want as well, to be sound in yourself. So I think, yeah, but at the same time, thinking about my process, I wouldn't change it. Like, I wouldn't change my childhood at all, because I feel like if I, like, say if I was more aware of the person that I was then, I wouldn't be the person I am now.
Yeah.
And I quite like the person I am now.
Yeah. It's like also just knowing it's okay. Everything's going to be
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Like, the hindsight part of it is really nice to know that you've been through all of those layers. Like, you peeled back all of those layers, and like you're not even remotely the same as you were before. Um, yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
Cool. I guess I have one more question. I have one more question
Go ahead.
for both of you. If there's something going about you right now that you would like to remind your future self,
Aha.
what would that be?
Future self. To remain. For me, it would be just to remain centered through everything. Just because I feel like, in order for anything to happen in grace, and like, I mean, obviously there will always be external factors, always.
Yeah.
We'll always be met in life with things that are not as we would like them. But I think that's the reason why we are experiencing things in the way that we do, is because there are meant to be lessons. And I think just reminding yourself that I create my reality, and that I create the world that I perceive. And I think that's the biggest thing for me. It's been the biggest thing for me for a while, and I want to keep having that be the biggest thing, is because I feel like it's just so fundamental to realize that fact, that whatever I believe about the world is what I believe, and that always can change. Like, I don't have to keep stuck in one place. Like, if that belief changes, that's okay. It doesn't mean that I don't know what the fear is about, like, leaving. Like, I don't know what the fear about me running was. I don't know why I was holding myself back from it, but it was solely the belief that I did not like running. Like, that I did not like running. That's all I needed to know. And like, whenever he would ask, I'd be like, no, I just don't like running. But knowing that, because I told myself that running was not good for me, that became manifest, and it wasn't good for me. Like, anytime I ran in the past, like, it would actually hurt, and I would get injured and shin splints. And then I was like, when he asked and we went running, and I was like, you know what, let's just do it. Let's just go for it. And the first time it wasn't that nice because I was soaring after, but the next time I started to see the joy, and like, I changed my outlook on it, and it's quite nice now. And I've realized that I've let that ego die, and now I've acquired this one. So it's like always being fluid and remaining in the center of it all for me, I think.
Yeah, I like that. It's like you can set yourself free at any time.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Yeah, what about you, Ben?
It's hard to answer this question, I find, but I resonate a lot with what Jeremy's saying, I think. And
we talk about it a lot.
Yeah. I think to just keep myself open, I think. I think it's so easy to like close off sometimes. Just to remain open and always check myself from, I guess, checking in with myself, knowing where things are coming from. I think to self-identify more.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that would be it as of now.
Yeah.
That I can think of. Yeah. How about you?
I would say that I would just keep reminding myself that life could be a hell of a lot worse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good one. Yeah.
that's a good one.
Simple idea.
Just,
Perspective.
yep,
Yeah, it's
it
true.
could be.
Yeah.
Just thankful for what you have right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I'd like to remind myself that I've been through a lot of emotions. Like I've been through most of all the emotions I'm going to go through, and like I'll get through whatever I need to get through in the future too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Beautiful.
lovely.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much for chatting with us.
Yeah, do
Oh,
you
thank
guys
you
have anything else you want to share? I'll post all social media stuff in the
I think that's all right.
I don't think I've
It's
got
been
anything
a,
else.
it's been a really thorough
Yeah.
combo that we've had. So I think
Yeah.
I like
We
the
should
painful
do it again
story.
sometime. It's been really nice talking to you guys.
Yeah, same here.
Really nice.
Yeah.
And you guys are so inspiring. I'm loving like the work that you guys are doing, and like I haven't like getting to see you dance because I've never seen you live, both of you. So it's like really nice to see you guys through social media, even though I know I haven't met you, Dee, like through person. But you guys are really inspiring, and thank you for talking to us today.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you guys. Both of you are so inspiring to us. So
Yeah, I love that.
I love it. I can do this already. 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
Oh.
difficult choreo.
Put that on TikTok.
Boom.
Yeah.
Quite hard to do that quick. Love you guys.
All right.
Love you guys.
Love you. We'll talk soon.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.